think a key thing to keep in mind too when you're looking at these systems is not necessarily what we're doing today, what we're going to be doing tomorrow, but where we're going to be in 5, 10, 15 years down the road, right? That is probably one of the biggest gotchas that we see in most facilities. They're bringing data to us and saying, hey, here's what we're doing today. Well, what do you plan on doing in 5 years? Not really sure, but let's just base it off this plus 10%. Well, upper management may have said, well, look, we're going 2 times, not 10%, maybe we're going 80% more in the next 5 years. So what we've seen a lot of is facilities have these numbers, they have that number in place, system gets put in, doesn't perform to where their vision was 5 years down the road, all of a sudden they're putting in a new system down the road. So helping justify some of that is knowing where your vision is going, like we were talking about with your customers or with your upper management, knowing where that KPI is, where the visions are going. Key.
Absolutely agree with that. I'm sure everyone in this room has had some shifting specification change, right? Like today we're doing this and in the future we don't know what we're going to be doing, but we think it's going to be this. So let's go that direction. You get to that point and it's different, right? It wasn't what you projected it to be. That's challenging for all parties involved. Yeah.
And for us, Brian, we'll meet with our customers and they'll look at where they want to be able to be in 5 years. A lot of them will start looking at the phasing approach. And that phasing approach is another easy way to be able to start looking at your ROI. We have some of them that try to go ahead and come back to us and say, what's the difference between phasing versus installing at one time? And so you need to be able to look at some of those costs. Sometimes it'll justify to be able to put it all at one time. Others to be able to make sure that that system is going to be able to expand and how you're going to be able to justify that. As it does expand to those 5 years or those 6 years, you really need to be able to look at that inflation cost associated with that.
The biggest thing to keep in mind is focusing on, here's what we want the system to look like in 20 years. We can't afford it to be there right now, but we want to take that vision of what this is going to look like. That way we understand how we can phase that in, because there's a lot of opportunities there when we're phasing in a system that the equipment we're putting in today, again, we're wanting a 10, 15, 20 year lifespan out of that equipment. But maybe we're looking at a expansion in 2 years. Well, we want to be able to put that equipment in that particular location that's either going to work with what we're getting ready to do, or we can reallocate it to save some money in that next phase. So it is key to look at that whole picture of where we're going with that.
We talked last night, one of the things is the rates. They'll tell us.
Yeah, I mean, rates are, rates through product throughput, things of that nature. Again, looking at not necessarily today, but what we're going to in 5 years. Bigger systems where you run into a challenge is a lot of those take 2 years to develop, maybe a year to implement. So you're looking at 3 years down the road. So you plan for today, and then the system goes in, it's already out of date. And so knowing those numbers, knowing that throughput, all that data up front, not just the ROI, but looking at your throughputs in all the different areas, things like that are key up front, not at the end.